Hey guys, I'm the Coaster Keat, and I feel like I start out every single one of these videos saying, man, it has been a long week. But this week, I would have to say, took the cake. This has been a week with just so much going on that I kind of estimate that this video is going to be over 20 minutes, but who knows? I don't. I'm just starting the video, and all I have is a little sticky note of all the notes of all the points that I have to go over. And all I know is that these points actually have a lot of stories behind them, unlike most weeks. So, I guess with all of that being said, I should probably just go ahead and hop into it. So, Monday. Monday was Veterans Day, and as Veterans Day, I got the entire day off of college. And so, when I was looking forward to this in my schedule, I thought, man, it's going to be really nice to just have a good, relaxing day where I don't really have to do anything. I'll have all my homework done by then, and it'll just be great. It'll be a nice day of relaxation, maybe some YouTube videos, this sort of thing. But what Veterans Day actually ended up being, because I might have gotten just a little bit ambitious, was an entire recording session, and a very long recording session at that. Me and my friends recorded videos from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. my time, or their time actually. My time, it was a bit different because of the whole lack of daylight savings thing. And so we went ahead and recorded all those videos. There were, of course, a few breaks. As you can imagine, there were a few hiccups, so we weren't recording like that entire time, but we did record a lot. And so that video ended up being not video. My life isn't a video, despite how many videos I make about it, but that day ended up being pretty busy. Put on top of that the fact that I still had practice at 8 o'clock that night, and I was pretty much running around for the entire day. Getting things done was just not something that happened, other than getting the videos done, which was okay since I had managed to get most of my essay that was going to have the rough draft due on Wednesday done on Sunday. So, went ahead, went to practice after filming all of these videos, had a decent practice, went, did my thing, and then as I grabbed my towel to go ahead and start drying off and move into, getting ready to leave, I feel like this sharp pain. And it feels like something that I've only experienced once before, something that I experienced as a very little kid, which was a fire ant bite. And so I look and I'm like, there's no fire ant on me. I don't feel a fire ant. And then I look down and I see this little wasp who's just, barely hanging on and just trying to inch forward on the ground. And I put two and two together and I'm like, I just got stung. And for those of you that don't know, I've literally never been stung by anything else before. I have had no prior experience. And so I'm just over here like, guys, I think I got stung. And literally everyone's like, oh my gosh, are you okay? Like, what happened? Are you okay? Like, where is it? What's happened? What stung you? And I'm just like, I think I'm okay. Because at that point I just felt like this little bit of pain. I didn't feel horrible. It didn't feel great, but it wasn't so much that I couldn't bear it. I could almost ignore it. And so I'm like, oh no, it's fine. I'll just walk it off or whatever. And they're like, no, you should go get some ice. You should really ice that right now. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel like going up to the counter and asking for ice. I'll be okay. And so I go and, I talk to them and they talk to me, and then I'm like, oh, okay. I'll go get some ice. And right as I walk over and I ask the lady for the ice, and she's like, oh, what happened? And I'm like, I got stung. And she's like, wow. Usually when people ask for ice, it's because they sprained something. And I'm like, yep, I'm just a special human being. And so she went ahead. She had to send for her manager to get an ice pack for some reason, which is weird to me. But as we were waiting for her manager to show up, I started feeling just this burning pain. It literally felt like having that part of my skin on a hot pan is how it felt. And I'm just over here, like, wincing a little, like, trying to hide it for the most part. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm allergic, but I don't know. And so we end up getting the ice and getting the ice onto the sting, and everything ended up being fine. I ended up getting through the night. I spent way too long icing that, probably like 2 hours, to the point where just the entire area was numb. Went to sleep. Next morning, I could kind of feel it, and then the day after that, it was completely gone. So, turns out I'm not allergic to wasp stings, which is good news, because otherwise I probably would have gotten to my first hospital visit as well on that day. So that was an extremely eventful day. Moving on to Tuesday. Tuesday was probably the least eventful day of all of the days. It was relatively tame. We had a guest speaker come for our comparative politics class, and they were just this first year PhD student. But you felt so bad for them, because they're just over here trying to talk about this script, which you could very, very much tell was extremely scripted. This talk about the different kinds of governments, authoritarian versus like competitive, and all of this. And so we went ahead and talked about that, but as they kept trying to talk, everyone in the class would literally be like, excuse me, but have you thought about this? Or, excuse me, like, what exactly is Turkey? Excuse me, what is Israel in this case? You know, they just don't really seem to fit into any of these categories. And so this poor student ends up pretty much having to do their, like, defense of their thesis on their, like, first year of their PhD studies. And you could just kind of see the stress in their eyes, and their uncertainty in answering the questions. And you felt so bad for them. You're like, man, this person they did not expect that this class would be like this. But at the same time, you're thinking, wow, they're a PhD student and they didn't learn how to defend this basic concepts that they're teaching us? That's kind of interesting. But I went ahead, got through that class. The person did too. They did pretty well defending everything, even if they didn't answer all of the questions that were posed to them, you know, like a typical speaker. And I went home, and then I remembered that in the group chat for water polo, they were talking about getting this thing called Pizookies. And Pizookies, as I found out, was this thing that BJ's has, which is essentially like a cookie, it's like a cookie pie is I think what the original one was, but now it's evolved to literally just be a plethora of desserts that are just in this like tin form. And so we went ahead, and I was debating, like, I don't know, do I want to go or do I not want to go? And I ended up going, which I'm proud of myself for doing. And so we went ahead and went and got Pizookies. I got this monkey bread thing, which is essentially like cinnamon sugar, which you cannot mess that up, and it was good. And I got to talk to the girls and bond with them a little more, which is always a good thing. But now it's like they're asking if we want to go this week too, and at this point I'm like, I don't know if like my introvertedness or my wallet can handle this, because these things are not the cheapest. Though I did somehow manage to find the one that was $3 that day. I didn't even know that it was cheaper, but I found the $3 one, and I split it with someone, so this only cost me $1.50. Dad, I know you're proud of me right now. I just want to say thank you. But yeah, it only cost me about $1.50 for this, and I don't know. We'll see if it works out again this week. I'm kind of doubting it, because that message in the group chat has not gotten much response. But if it does, I think I'll go. I think it was a good experience, and I'd be willing to try it again. And then came Wednesday. So Tuesday night, I had to spend a fair amount of time, not a crazy amount of time, but a fair amount of time working on my essay, and also on this lab report that I had completely forgotten about. But I managed to get both of them done. I managed to even have some time to watch some shows with my friends, and it all pretty much worked out so that when I got to Wednesday, I had just a little bit more than I had to do. And so when it came time to do that, I went ahead, sat down at this restaurant, just buckled down and worked for 2 hours straight, got it completely done. It was by no means good, but it was done, and that's all that mattered at that point. And so I managed to get that done, get it all handed in, and usually when I hand things in, I kind of have this, this relief. I usually feel like, oh man, I'm done. Now I don't have to worry about it anymore. But for whatever reason, just didn't have that with this essay. I think I felt that it was just too incomplete, just too sloppy, too poor. And so I still am concerned, but because it's in the peer editing process, I'm not allowed to revise it anymore until we get it peer edited and we have that conference, which will be tomorrow, so that'll be fun. But it just, I don't know. It was good to be done, don't get me wrong, but it also, I knew that I hadn't done my best. And so now I've resolved that for the 2 other essays that I have to get rough drafts in for relatively soon, one this Friday and one I believe next week. So when I say relatively soon, I mean soon. I'm going to actually spend some more time on them and try to do work that I can actually be proud of so that when I hand in those rough drafts, I don't feel like I still have a million things to do. But on a positive note, moving on from Wednesday, I got through my day Thursday and headed out to my typical D&D session with the group of people that I guess I would call the pros, since I play D&D with 2 different groups. There's the one on Friday and the one on Thursday, but the one on Thursday, literally everyone in that group has been like either a DM or a player for like over 3 years. So I went to play with the pros, and not only did we have, a session with everyone, so it broke my previous records that I set in high school for largest number of people in a group. I believe there were 7 players per DM, which is crazy, but we had the longest session that I've ever had. We played in that game from 6 to 1 in the morning. And it was glorious. We got to our typical end time of 10, and at first we were like, okay, let's just go for 1 more hour, and then we did, and then we still weren't anywhere near where we wanted to be. And so although one person had to go home because they were dead tired, and I can't really blame them, the rest of us went ahead and continued on for 2 more hours. And even then, we're still not done. So it was just a ton of fun, probably one of the most fun nights that I've had in a while. Just a lot of, crazy stuff happening, a lot of funny moments, a lot of interesting puzzles, just everything that you could honestly hope for D&D to be. It was just a glorious night. But some of you might also know that night as the one where I didn't really get a video out, and yeah, there's a reason for that, obviously. But hey, I guess what matters is I'm doing these for fun, and if occasionally I'm giving myself essentially a buffer of 1 video per week, if 1 video a week doesn't work out, then that's just because life got in the way. And when you're doing full-time college and trying to have a social life and everything, I guess that happens occasionally. But yeah, so that was just a really great time. And so then I guess later that day, Friday, because it was Friday by the time we ended, I just went ahead and had a pretty normal day up until I went to my very first lecture series sort of thing outside of classes. This essentially came about because my comparative government teacher got this huge stipend from Germany to have this whole event type thing called Wunderbar together, and she was giving us extra credit. And this teacher never gives extra credit, but she was giving us 1 point of extra credit in a grade in the 100 grade scale. So that means if you got an 89, this would give you a 90. And she gave you this 1 extra point for just showing up. And so, motivated by extra credit, admittedly, but also a little bit by curiosity, I ended up going. And not only did I go, but I asked a question. Not the best question, but a question. And then I even got a follow-up after the event. And then I even, as we went out to the whole reception thing, and I grabbed my plate of food, and I start, like, considering, hey, I could just go home at this point. I've signed in, I got my extra credit, I have my food, like, there's literally no reason for me to stick around. But for whatever reason, I decided to go ahead and head over to a table with someone who looks relatively friendly and just stand there for a little bit. It's, these typical standing cocktail type tables. The food, for any of those interested, was essentially just a bunch of cheeses, like some hummus, this weird, like, plastic cup thing with, like, these chopped up beets and this mozzarella ball, which was interesting, and then, like, some black bean patty type things. It was okay, but there were also no forks, so some things were a bit more interesting to try and eat than others. So I just was here, just trying to eat my cheese and trying not to, like, spill everything like the klutz that I am. And I'm just sitting here, like, standing here, and, people come over and start talking. And I even learned that the person whose table I chose to stand at is one of the extremely rare science kids that's actually in the same, like, comparative government class as me, and she knew my name, which was crazy because of class participation. And so I talked to her a lot, and so she's a neuroscience major, and now I'm being even more of an adult. I'm sure that you all on the other side of the camera are proud of me for this or whatever. But I'm going to actually go and meet with her on Tuesday to talk more about the whole, like, ethical uses of science, which is going to be really cool. So I'm doing the college thing. I'm doing the adulting thing. And so that was just a really cool time. And not only did I talk to her, but I talked to these established professors and their, in their fields. And I talked to one of the other STAR students who knows a lot more than me. Because, like, I'm considered a STAR student, but the amount that I actually know about, like, governments and politics is super minimal. I also got one of my solutions completely shot down, which was funny, but it was good overall. It was really good, and ended up going home. And then the very next day, I had a water polo game with my teammates over at good old ASU, the big time rival of the U of A. And so our team went up early in the morning to go play their team, and we started out down. We were down 4-1. It looked almost hopeless at the half, and then we just start playing, and we start going, and we go ahead, and we play all the quarters, and then we end up winning. Not just winning, but winning 9-5. I don't know if their stamina was just bad or what, but it just completely turned around, and it was a thing of beauty. It was just so cool to be able to see the resilience of the team, and to be able to see our determination, and to be able to see just it all pay off. It was super cool. And then after that, we actually went and had lunch with the ASU girls, which was cool from a different standpoint. I really think that it marks some progress for me as the ultra-competitive person that I am, to be able to have a peaceful and kind conversation with the people on the team that we just decimated. It was really good and pleasant, and to all of those girls, you guys are lovely, and thank you so much. It was really fun to play against you, and really helpful to see our own weaknesses and strengths in our team. And then today was honestly pretty uneventful. I did go shopping with someone, which was cool, and by shopping, I mean using up swipes. Maybe one of these days I'll make a rant video about the swipe system at the U of A and how weird it is, but went out to the store, and this was one of the first times that I actually, went with someone somewhere, and that was just really cool too. So, I don't know. Overall, I think that college is just going better. Everything just seems to be working out a lot better. I'm finally working on making those good connections, and I was working hard in the very first few weeks, but those first connections pretty much almost never stick. But now I'm actually making connections with the people that I've spent a lot of time with, which is really cool, and slowly but surely building up a little group of people that, I'll be able to talk to and hopefully be friends with for years to come. But you know what? I'm just going to take all that back because I don't want to jinx it right now. But yeah, really eventful week. As for the channel, one funny note about the channel is we got our very first copyright strike. Guys, I am so proud. We finally have been recognized as a valid thing to take money away from when I can't even get money. Oh my gosh, but on the Avery Attorney video, we got a copyright strike for some of the music. I blame the game, and so for like 1 minute in an entire 40-minute video, they get to take all of the money from it, which at this point I don't really care because I'm literally making nothing and it's just for fun. But it's just so funny to me that some corporation in the world is now maybe gonna get a single penny. I don't even think that, considering the views of that video. They're gonna get like a fraction of a penny because they decided to come to my channel with my 31 amazing subscribers and copyright strike my video. But it was just kind of a funny thing, and I wanted to share it with you. So if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for everything you do. You guys make these videos worth making because they are extremely fun, but it's also just so much easier to make them when you know that there's people that actually will watch them. One of the hardest things in the world is doing something that you think is pointless, and you guys give a little bit of meaning and a little bit of point to doing this. So yeah, thanks for what you do. And anyways, I hope that this week goes amazingly for you, and I hope that you guys soar high and enjoy your ride of life. Bye!